Number 5. A few years back, I was staying at a cheap roadside motel during a solo cross-country trip. It wasn't sketchy, just old. You could tell it used to be something nicer once, maybe back in the 70s. The neon sign outside flickered and the paint was peeling off the doors. But I was too tired to be picky. I got room 12. The guy at the front desk, an older man with a blank stare, handed me the key without much conversation. As I walked to my room, I noticed that rooms 10, 11, and 13 had their lights on, but 12 was completely dark. Not just no lights inside, almost like a shadow hung over it. I figured the bulb was out or something. Inside, it was fine. Old carpet, older TV, and a weird smell I couldn't quite place. I unpacked, took a shower, and climbed into bed. At around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. Not from a sound, not from a dream. Just something pulled me out of sleep. That's when I saw him. A man standing just inside the room, right by the door. He was soaking wet, his hair plastered to his face, clothes clinging to him like he'd walked out of a lake. But there was no water on the floor. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. He didn't say anything, didn't even move. Just stood there, head tilted slightly. I blinked and he was gone. I convinced myself it was sleep paralysis, and eventually fell back asleep. The next morning, I told the desk clerk what happened. He didn't look surprised. He just said, "Room 12 used to be where the manager lived. Her husband drowned in the tub years ago. She never left either. We don't usually rent that one out." I checked out immediately. Number 4. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or 11, we used to play hide and seek in this big abandoned church near our neighborhood. It had been closed down for years after a fire, but the structure was still mostly intact, just covered in ash, soot, and vines. There was one rule we had: don't go into the basement. The floor had partially collapsed, and you had to climb down this rusty old staircase. It wasn't safe and it was always pitch black, but one day we dared my friend Max to go down there. Max was the bravest out of all of us. He smiled, grabbed a flashlight, and disappeared down the stairs. At first we were laughing, making spooky ghost sounds, trying to scare him. Then he screamed. It wasn't a gotcha scream. It was sharp, panicked. We ran to the top of the stairs and called his name, but he was gone. The flashlight was at the bottom, flickering. We didn't go down. We just ran. He was missing for 2 days before he turned up, standing barefoot on the front steps of his house, eyes wide, lips sealed. He wouldn't talk about it, ever. Years later, when we were in high school, I finally asked him. He looked at me and said, "There's a room down there, and it's full of children, but they're not alive," and they were all smiling. Number 3. I work the night shift at a 24-hour diner just off a highway that barely gets used anymore. The kind of place that hasn't changed since the 80s. Fluorescent lights, red vinyl booths, cracked linoleum. Most nights it's truckers or the occasional lost traveler. But a few months ago, someone new started showing up. Every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., he would walk in. Same time, same booth, same order. Black coffee, no sugar. He was tall, wore a dark hoodie with the hood up, and never spoke. I'd leave him coffee and go about my shift. The first few nights, I chalked it up to a local with weird habits, but something was off. He never blinked, never looked at his coffee, just stared straight ahead. One night, I got curious. I tried talking to him, asked if everything was okay. He slowly turned to me, and I swear to you, his face was blurred, like it wasn't fully there. No features. Just a smear of human shape where eyes and a mouth should be. I stepped back so fast I nearly dropped the coffee pot. The next night he didn't come in, but when I closed up I noticed his usual booth was still wet, like someone had just been sitting there, and scrawled into the tabletop with something sharp were the words, "Don't talk to me." He still comes in. I don't say a word anymore. Number 2. My uncle used to own a small hunting cabin way out in the woods. No power, no plumbing, just nature and isolation. He loved that place. Said it gave him peace. Until one night, it didn't. He had taken a trip up there alone, planning to stay for the weekend. When he didn't come back by Monday and wasn't answering his phone, my dad drove out to check on him. The cabin was locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry, but everything was trashed. Dishes smashed, furniture overturned, claw marks on the door frame. Not animal scratches. These were long, deep gouges that looked deliberate, and my uncle was gone. The only clue was a voice message he'd left on my dad's phone, time-stamped 2:44 a.m. You could barely hear him. He was whispering, and there was this strange static in the background. All he said was, "It found me. It knows my name. Don't come here. It's already in the walls." They never found him. Just the message and the marks. Number 1. A few years ago, I moved into a high-rise apartment downtown. The place was modern, quiet, and had a great view. Perfect for a fresh start. The first weird thing that happened was the knocking. It started lightly, always around 4 a.m. Not on my front door, but from the inside of my closet. At first, I thought it was the building settling. Then it got louder, more persistent. I opened the closet. Nothing. Then came the dreams. I started having the same dream every night. I was trapped in a tiny, windowless room. A man stood outside, watching me through a peephole. I could never see his face, just his eye. Then one night, I woke up to find a hole, an actual hole, drilled into my bedroom wall. Small, the size of a finger. On the other side was a dark, vacant apartment. I called the building manager. He swore that unit had been empty for months. But when we went in to check it out, the place was covered in dust, except for one chair facing the wall where the hole was. And on the wall, hundreds of Polaroids. All of me, sleeping, eating, watching TV. Even one of me looking directly into the camera. That was the last night I spent in that apartment.